the ironies of modern life. I mean, here we are about to do a satsang, and I'm sitting here in the car. I don't know if it's to do with the mobile connection or whatever, but that piece of music, which is meant to be really sort of soothing and get you into the mode of the satsang vibration, for me just came through like a sodding racket of noise. I just thought it's so funny, this world we live in. It's so bizarre, the anomalies. So yeah, last week I was transmitting, so to speak, from a sunlit forest, from a spaceship in a sunlit forest in Ibiza. This week I'm transmitting from a sunlit car park outside a disused military building with all barbed wire, looking out, or would be looking out, I could see past the trees onto the fields of Wiltshire, having just done a workshop in Bath, a very lovely one I must say as well. And a talk on Friday night in Birmingham, which was also very, very lovely, and both of which have inspired me because I've been thinking a lot about this session. It feels important to me, not to give it grandiosity or any, overdue significance, but these sessions have certainly been part of the flow of a great stream of unprecedented magic, if you want to call it that, in my life in the last few weeks, in terms of unusual, unexpected things happening, pleasant things, interesting things, progress in strange ways, and sorts of unexpected occurrences, and the relationship, more importantly, with the presence informing it all seems to have reached a different level, a different kind of intimacy. And I know I'm not alone in this. I'm getting a lot of feedback from people who've been at these sessions, so there's a sort of a sense of that occurring, something not necessarily definable. Yeah, of course people get results and so on and so forth, but it's not really about those kinds of results. Yes, they're fun, but it's the real result is the one we've really already got, but we've obscured from ourselves, which is being at one with the big presence. Because when that happens, when we really know who we are and what we are, that in itself transforms our entire experience of reality. So I've been thinking a lot about desire. The Buddha said that at the cause of all suffering is desire. So people naturally misinterpreted that over the centuries and assumed it must mean it's wrong to have desire. But the Buddha was not an idiot. The Buddha was a highly intelligent man. He was a prince, he'd been well educated before he went off to become a sadhu, and the rest of it. He knew that desire is intrinsic, not just to human nature, but to all nature. It is the very basis of nature that it is filled with desire, desire to grow, desire to be, desire to be more, and so on. If it were not so, we wouldn't be here. That's the urge, that's the creative urge of existence itself, desire. However, the desires that we have will, if not managed sensibly, and that's a big thing, will lead to various forms of suffering, inasmuch as if we have a desire for something and we believe that having that something will then bring us the fulfillment our soul is craving, we will be disappointed, simply because any manifest phenomenon is subject to the law of yin and yang, which means as much as it has its bright, beguiling, beautiful, appealing side, it also has its dark, difficult side full of responsibilities and challenges, and it doesn't matter what you care to mention. Any manifest phenomenon will come with a package. It won't come with just the one. So from that point of view, there will be expectation followed by disappointment. That leads to suffering. Then there are the desires which don't seem to be fulfillable, the ones that you keep wanting, things you want that you never quite get, or things that you want that you don't quite get enough of or good enough of. And you compare yourself to other people that seem to have those desires met. And that causes suffering, whether through envy or through insecurity or feelings of low self-esteem or undeservedness and what have you on your part. And I could go on. Basically, whenever a desire is unmanaged, in other words, whenever it is allowed to pull you without you being mindful of what's going on, it will lead to suffering. And suffering is okay. I mean, it's not something that we have to say is a bad thing, but it would be much nicer to be, much more pleasant to be free of suffering. Now, this doesn't actually mean that we can avoid pain. Pain isn't suffering, though. Pain is pain. It's an opinion. The suffering comes in when we're judging having the pain as an awful thing. And you might think, well, how can you not judge pain as an awful thing? You can. I mean, people who are into sadomasochism judge pain as not an awful thing, for example. That's at one end of it all. But on the other end of it all pain is life. Pain is energy. Pain is an indication that you're alive. And if you're in a state of grace and are able to be thankful for whatever the Tao brings you, trusting that whatever form it comes in, it is a form of pure love being expressed in your direction, that transforms the pain and it becomes grace. And we all know that grace comes through handling pain with dignity and actually not welcoming pain, not wishing for it, but loving it when it comes, because it's the Tao comes to visit you in disguise. So therefore being thankful even for that, and that brings grace. And that's one example of how you alleviate the suffering caused by desire. So it's not that it's wrong to have desires. That's ridiculous. Of course it's right to have desire. What it is about is how do you manage the desire? How do you ride the thrust of the desire without it destroying you or others around you? And why this is pertinent for this session is because what we've been addressing in the past 5 sessions, as we've done all the way through the satsang series, is desire. We've been looking at all the different elements and how they govern the various aspects of your life and how you naturally desire to have these elements in balance. And we've been doing magic to make that happen. So we've been addressing desire. I can't remember at this point which order we did them in, but as I recall, it might have been starting with earth, maybe, or fire, I don't know, but let's say it started with earth. And the earth governs the flow of money in your life, the flow of physical material abundance and resources. Well, we need those things, yeah, but we also desire. We have a desire. That's the urge to have, to create, to accumulate, to have flow of wealth. We looked at fire and how the fire element governs your ability, your capacity to love and be loved, not just in a romantic way, but in the way of friendship, the way of being loved and loving all of humanity. We desire that. We desire to be loved. We desire to love. We desire to feel ourselves belonging to the human family. But it's a desire. It's a need as well, and it's a desire. And there we were somehow doing magic to manage that, to amplify, to increase the flow. Or take the water element that we covered, which is governing the flow of events in your life, the flow of emotions, the flow of thoughts, the flow of energy, the flow of everything, and your ability to flow. And it's pretty widespread desire to be able to flow, to relax and not jar yourself along the journey. I think we all want that. We all want to be really cool and relaxed and roll with it and enjoy every moment because of it, rather than jar it or try and contrive it or make it miserable for ourselves. We want it to be beautiful, and the way that works is by flowing. So that's the water element. We desire that, and rightly so. And then we looked at the element of space, the air that we breathe, and the inspiration that comes from the unseen realms, the universal meta-intelligence that we plug into when the space element is operating properly in the body. And we desire that as well. If we didn't desire to have creative original thought, we wouldn't be so inspired by The books that we read and the music we listen to and the movies that we watch, we love them because when they're good, they're inspired by original creative thought. We love that. We aspire to it. We aspire to it in our own lives. How do we live creatively? How do we turn our lives into an art form in the best way possible? We desire that. We desire that artistic excellence. And we address that. And then we looked at the nature element, and that's governing the capacity to grow and to engage and to reach the fullness of your potential each and every moment you're alive, to give and to receive the very most, the very best. And that drive to engage in the game in that way is afforded us by the nature element, to be ourselves, to be our true selves, to express that. We desire that. We need it, and we desire it. And it's right that we do. However, with magic of any kind, Taoist or otherwise, and I don't say magic in the cheap sense. I'm not talking about doing conjuring tricks. Not that there's anything wrong with them. I absolutely love conjuring tricks. But in a sense, we are doing a conjuring trick in the sense that this manifest realm, this world of the 10,000 things is an illusory realm and a big trick of the light. It is a conjuring trick. We're manipulating the light, if you like. But I'm talking about magic as in rolling with the will of the Tao, somehow intuiting what is the right flow, the highest flow to ride, and to ride with that, gently intending it in a particular direction or so on, which I'll talk about what we'll do in the meditation aspect. However, for any real magic to work as an awake, responsible, integrated being who is not simply grasping materialistically at yet just another way of making money or whatever it is that you're trying to get. In other words, providing you're not lost in the external effects. For anyone who's awake and is serious about their path, true magic can only work if you, and this is not being negative, give it the space to fail, as one businessman once explained it to me. It's a bit of a clumsy way of putting it, but he used to say, when you're setting up a business deal, he's a very successful man, if you're setting up a business deal, if you don't give it space to fail, chances are it will. So you have to give it space in your heart, he said, which is a nice thing, for it to fail. It doesn't matter if it does. It's all fun. The whole thing's a story. Yeah, it'd be difficult. Yeah, it'd make it inconvenient for you. It could momentarily really upend all your plans and make it inconvenient. But the chances are it won't fail, but it will pretty much likely for sure fail if you don't give it any space not to. In other words, you mustn't pin your happiness, your fulfillment, your satisfaction, your success on any external phenomenon if you want any real lasting value. You have to pin it entirely on the depth and level to which you're dancing with your Tao in comfort and joy from moment to moment. And with Taoism, one of their basic tenets, which is kind of counterintuitive for us, is if you want to make something happen, you kind of try and make it do the opposite first, because then you create like a catapult effect. For example, if you want to pull a weed up out of the ground, rather than just yank it out of the ground, which will require some strength if its roots are pretty embedded, the best thing to do is to first push it into the ground even further. In other words, make it go the way you really don't want it to go. That weakens the roots, and then when you pull it, you don't have to use nearly as much effort to get it out of the ground. So if you want to manifest the supreme ultimate, the Tai Chi level of magnificence in all areas of your life, which isn't to be utopic about it, it's like if you think you're going to avoid pain, it's silly, I said you can't, but you can get to the level where suffering is alleviated so much that even when there is pain, you're still in a state of bliss about just being alive. To make this happen, to make something happen, you really first have to make nothing happen. To enter the realm of the supreme ultimate splendor and magnificence of existence, you first have to enter the realm of absolute nothingness. That's the trigger. And it takes courage. It's a powerful move to make. It's a big statement. It's saying, I completely surrender to you, universe. I let go of the handrails completely. I put no conditions at all on this. I surrender. I give myself up to you. Do with me what you will. So I return to absolute nothingness. I will return to the state of before there was anything at all, and dissolve myself completely and utterly. And in this dissolution will come my rebirth, and with that, all the things that are coming my way as a result of the magic we've done over the last 5 sessions. And if you've not been before, it doesn't matter, because what we did already is building up to this point. It will work for you, as this will work indirectly and subtly, of course, but absolutely everybody on the planet and beyond, because these things have no limits. So that's what we're going to do. We're about to dive into Wu Qi. And I say we are going to dive into Wu Qi. Even that is a misrepresentation of what really occurs. We are really fundamentally already in Wu Qi. At the heart of all matter is antimatter. Out of all something comes from nothing. And it's not, although it in time and space realm, there is a process occurring, a transformational process of nothing into something. In actual fact, in non-linear time, there is no process. The two are occurring simultaneously. This is also slightly counterintuitive to us with Western minds, assuming if you were brought up in the West, because the Western cosmological model, based as it is essentially on the Bible, has it written in the past. God spoke and said, let there be light, and there was light, and blah, 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 and then he created the world in 7 days, and so on and so on. So we tend to think of it happening at a certain point in the past, say just, the beginning of just before the Big Bang. Once he finished dinner, I decided that was it. Okay, let's have some fun around here. Let's make an explosion to see what happens. And then blah, 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 and all this occurred. But the way that the Taoists see it is that there isn't a sense of time in that way. This universe, as we're experiencing it, is being constantly created by the Tao, if you want to call it being created. The process is occurring constantly and perpetually. So we, each of us, exist on multiple, infinite number of multiple levels simultaneously. The part of us that is here now is probably one, should we call it, step up from the usual physical, local self we're familiar with, because we've divested ourselves of the concerns of body and personality. Therefore, we're not needing to impress each other, and yet we're able to gather like this, almost as disembodied spirits. This is a privilege. So you could say, because of the technology, the miracle of that we're able to somehow transcend the usual local level of being. And yet we're also operating simultaneously on countless other levels, all the way up to, or down to, or back to the original creative force of existence, call it Tao, God, Buddha, whatever you want to call it. We are, and as we go back through the levels, we get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and more unified, less and less diversified or multiplied, and more just one big presence. And each of us is a portal to that one big presence. So each of us is a way in, all the way back, for the presence to know itself again, if you like. And behind that, even, there is what the Taoists call Wu Qi. There is nothing, absolute nothing. And we are existing there too, or more accurately, we are non-existing there too. The mind will not grasp this, but the spirit knows what we're on about here. And what we're going to do now is somehow or other, as elegantly as possible, move back through the layers, the levels I say back because I experience it as back behind me getting bigger and bigger and bigger until it goes into just the one presence. We're going to move back through the layers until we find ourselves, even if it's only just glimpsing with the intellect, but somehow experiencing the sense of the one presence informing all of this. And then we're going to pop back even behind that to the absolute nothingness that it comes out of somehow, that it somehow emerges from. And by doing that, we totally and utterly surrender ourselves. And just a glimpse of it, we only need to be there for a nanosecond. And that is enough of, call it a sacrifice if you like, a ritualistic sacrifice to invite, to ordain, to trigger a whole process of motion, bringing events and situations and opportunities and phenomena into our lives over the course of the next short time frame that will somehow or other coalesce to form into a shape that will facilitate our highest good on the next stage of the journey, whatever that looks like. And it will be pertaining to all the different elemental aspects of our lives, the material, the passion, all of it that I've just gone through before. So there will be something remarkable occurring as a result of this, and we only need to touch it for an instant. This doesn't have to be heavy, it doesn't have to be difficult. We just have to be willing to access that deepest, most non-aspect, if you like, of self or of non-self. And we are on a new moon, so the astrological force is with us. We have a good tailwind, in other words. It's the perfect time for instigating fresh beginnings. And we're about to reach astrologically the point of this grand square, which is going to be quite potent, I suspect. I'm not totally and nobody sure what it's going to do, what it can bring, but it'll be some big change. And this will somehow or other be part of the facilitation of this new realm we're all going to trigger into being now for ourselves individually and collectively. This is not a selfish pursuit, because by us realizing our potential individually and collectively, we elicit a deeper, more profound, more wholesome, larger joy, innate joy of being than we would have had otherwise by far. And joy of this sort is contagious, and it inspires others to trigger for themselves. So it works for everybody. This is not done at anyone's expense. The more we gain, the more everybody gains. So we can relax about that aspect of it. We deserve to do this. It's all fine. It's all good. I trust that that has somehow set up the, loosely set up the parameters of how at least I'm seeing it, and that resonates with you and feels harmonious. Of course, if anything I say is never meant to be taken as a statement of absolute truth. It's merely an interpretation of my experiment with reality based on a Taoist template. And it's really always offered as an experimental gesture for you to play with and see what results come up. The only thing I would say is that this is all of the things that I do, and this especially, is how I operate myself in my life. And all I can say for that is so far so good. So I think it's pretty safe. It seems to work well. And it certainly seems to be having a damn enjoyable time of it, if nothing else. And I don't think there's anything quite much more important than enjoying it. So if you're ready, this would be the moment to let yourself go. And by that I mean be willing just to let go of the grasping nature that wants to grasp at the excitement, wants to grasp at the anxiety. That's the desire part. Just let it be for a moment. Just let it be. Let the grasping rest. And come back into your skin fully. So rather than projecting forwards into life and seeing what you can get out there and how to operate out there, withdraw. Just take this beautiful opportunity to withdraw You're in good company. And withdraw inside all the way into your own back. Lean into your shoulder blades. Lean into the front of your spine. Lean into your rear pelvic bones and into your sacral bone, as if sitting back in a very well designed internal chair. As you lean back, also sink down. Stop fighting gravity. So you lean right back inside, but at the same time you sink down inside. So you're anchored and you're back. And you imagine that the rear of your skull is like a headrest, and you just allow your mind to lean up against the rear of the skull on the inside, rather than have to be up in the front, in the observation post in the front. It doesn't have to be. You can have the lesser people who work for you in there do that. They can be in the front looking out at what's going on in the front. You, the governor, can now take your rightful place at the back, up on the bridge of the mothership. You can come all the way back inside. So you lean back into the rear of your skull, and you're observing from there. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable to do so. Now inside, in your back, you're aware that you are in command also of your front. When you're in the front, pulled there by desire and what have you, in the grasping nature, you lose the back. But when you come into your back, you gain the front as well. So you gain command of the front. So now all the usual daily drama of being you that goes on in the front of your body, the emotional turmoil in the stomach, the fear in the kidney area, the chest closing down, the noise in the front of the brain from discussing life with yourself all day long. It stops. It stops because it's no longer you. It's just stuff going on in the front. It's physiological phenomenon. It's just energy moving around, and you're in command of it. And you can tell it to calm down because it's yours. You command it. It's no longer commanding you. You're no longer being wagged by the tail. The emotions are no longer leading you. You're now accommodating your emotions. You're no longer being led by the thoughts in the front of your brain. You're accommodating that mental swirl without having to listen to it. Everything goes quiet, relatively. To help that along, breathe a bit more slowly. Stop holding the breath. Breathe fluidly, fluently, smoothly, silently, so that the breath feels that it has the quality of silk, fine silk. And notice that immediately improves the quality of your thinking tone, your consciousness, the quality of it becomes more silken, more luxurious. Organize yourself, assemble yourself in terms of your physicality, you as an entity, around your belly button. Because you've got to organize yourself, you've got to assemble yourself around somewhere. And this is the most reliable place. Bang in the center of gravity of your body, and it anchors you. It helps you just get a sense of, here I sit in the middle of everything. And visualize the two parts of you, the two halves of your breastbone, like a pair of sliding doors, slide open to reveal in the core of your chest, in front of you, because you're still sitting behind all of this, your beautiful heart, the essence of your love, your beauty, your gorgeousness, your nobility, your dignity, your courage, your kindness, your integrity, all of the beautiful human qualities that you possess in your unique form, now shining like a jewel from the center of your chest, radiating the essence of who you are, your love, freely for one and all, specifically, primarily, everyone in this circle all the way around the world, and then beyond to everyone else in the world. And you're making yourself available to receive everyone, receive the love of everyone, the beautiful essence of everyone, whether they know they're transmitting or not. And therefore be fed as much as you're feeding. So now you're sitting in the back of you, you're poised, you're powerful, you're still, and you're connected at the soul level to all your sisters and brothers of the human family and beyond. You stand, you sit in good relation to all that is. Now, to protect yourself as an entity, visualize that every time you breathe in, you are activating an ultra bright white stream of laser thin light all the way from the tip of the spine to the crown of the head. And as you breathe out, you're activating a line of light that goes from the crown of the head down behind the face, along the front of the spine, between the legs, and then hooks back to meet the other one, thus forming a solid circuit of light. You breathe in, the back of the spine lights up. You breathe out, the front of the spine lights up. And it creates a solid loop of bright white light. That gives you your spiritual integrity. That's the main structure of the anatomy of your immortal spirit body, which makes it safe to dissolve. You are now safe to dissolve. It guarantees that you will be able to resolve again at the end, afresh, renewed. And now, allow yourself to sink back again, further inside, and keep thrusting backwards. Keep thrusting back inside, like flowing backwards, but not flowing drippily, flowing like a tidal wave backwards. Your force is huge, and the force of destiny coming at you from the front is huge, and it's pushing you backwards so firmly, so powerfully, that you actually pop out the back of your own body. And as you do that, you become much larger. Not that physical size is important in itself, it just feels that way. As your presence pops out of the confines of the physical form, you all at once realize that it's something much larger than can actually be contained in the illusion of the human body. And keep thrusting backwards. Keep allowing the force of oncoming destiny to thrust you backwards, further and further, backwards and backwards, bigger and bigger as you go backwards and backwards, faster and faster, through inner space, which incidentally the Taoist mystics of ancient times declared was constructed of exactly the same composition as outer space, something our modern quantum physicists have arrived at as a conclusion recently too. And you're falling backwards, thrusting backwards at an almost alarming rate through inner space, backwards and growing bigger and bigger as you go backwards and backwards. And as you grow bigger and bigger, you're encompassing more aspects of the divine play. You're encompassing the Greek gods, the Roman gods, I'm not doing this in chronological order, Egyptian gods, the Mayan gods, and so on and so on. You're encompassing all the angels and the archangels and all the different expressions of divinity, if we want to call it that, until you're so big that you encompass all of it. And you are in fact all of it. You are the one being. And you express yourself through many different places, all of ours for example. And yet, within the subatomic realm informing all of this, here you are, just this one big presence. And you love it. You love being here. That's why you're here. It's a remarkable thing. And you're aware of it. You're the one big presence. You're aware of how remarkable this is. You're also aware that where you come from as the one big presence is the nothingness, the great nothingness, the Wu Chi. And because you're the one big presence, you're possessed of supreme courage and confidence, and are therefore quite willing to let yourself, even you, the one presence, dissolve into the nothingness. So feel behind the big presence, the primordial darkness that exists before there is sound, the darkness that exists before there is light, the darkness that exists before there is life, before there is thought, before there is anything. And be unafraid, and allow yourself to pop through the veil of somethingness into the great nothingness. Now, the part of you that remains in the manifest realm remains. It's okay. But the deepest, most part of you is now dwelling, and has always been in fact, in the great nothingness, whence everything springs. Allow yourself to dissolve, and let us just remain for one moment in pure silence, dissolving. And as you dissolve into the great nothingness, be aware that there is this stirring now of something. And this stirring of something in the great nothingness is the primordial self. It is the Tao, which exists forever and ever and ever. And it is very huge, and it is somehow behind you. You are the physical manifestation of it in your form, a tiny, tiny tip of a huge iceberg. And there it is, somehow behind you, massive, supporting you from behind, holding you, embracing you. From the front is the chain of manifestation that the Tao set in motion at the beginning, sets in motion at the beginning of time, which we call destiny, which has its own particular flavor for you. And destiny is rushing towards you inexorably. And destiny is also the Tao. Destiny is just another expression of Tao. And destiny, therefore, is the beloved loving itself. Destiny is your beloved loving you. And see it as an angel. And allow it to enter you. Don't be afraid of it. Don't let it see it. Don't see it as the enemy. It's your friend. Allow destiny in. And let it sit somewhere around your solar plexus area. If it had to be gathered anywhere as a force, let it be gathered its center. Let it be assembled around your solar plexus, maybe a little bit just in front of it. And turn it around so it's facing out from you, so it's facing forward. You have now allied yourself with the force of destiny, the angel of destiny, who now awaits your command. You are now free and entitled to direct destiny. So from this state of being in pure nothingness, in front of which is the one big presence, at the very front of which is you, sitting here, you are now entitled and required to direct the angel of destiny to take you where you want to go. Spend a moment allowing your true natural urges from deep inside the belly to rise up through the heart and provide pictures, hints, colors, shapes, smells, ideas, nuances, whatever it is, hints of where it is, the realm, the feeling, the experience that you're wishing for now, that you're willing for now, the direction you wish destiny to move in. Take a moment to indulge your imagination and let a picture form that will symbolize this realm. It's not fixed in stone. What you see doesn't necessarily determine anything, so don't be afraid. It's merely symbolic, just to get a sense of where you're wanting to move towards, and it will know to do the rest on its own. And if you need help, see yourself utterly fulfilled. See your face shining with fulfillment. See yourself utterly pleased. See your face shining with pleasure. See yourself utterly healthy and strong. See your face shining with the confidence of somebody who is utterly healthy and strong. See yourself as utterly wealthy with enough resources to support you whatever it is you need to do. See your face smiling with the smile of someone who has enough resources to do everything they want to do. Feel that sense of confidence in your kidneys. See yourself as somebody who is extremely loved and similarly loving, beautifully connected to many wonderful people in your life. Life really feels worth living as a result. See that on your face. See your face shining with the joy that comes with belonging to the human family and loving belonging to it. This is your intention. Being in a state of absolute nothingness at the deepest part of you is good enough. So anything more is an incredible bonus. Being alive, for example, the most incredible gift you can possibly imagine. Directing life to evolve in a certain way even more. What a beautiful bonus. What a beautiful bonus that we're each entitled to now. So say, let it be so. May it be so. Graciously, not graspingly. And without losing the anchor to ultimate nothingness, the dark matter, without losing the anchor to the supreme ultimate manifest Tao, without losing the anchor to the depths of your own being in the back of you, allow yourself to slowly, respectfully resurface as a human being on a planet with a body and a face and fingers and toes and a nose to wriggle and move around a little bit all through your body to get the circulation back. And we will begin the question and answer session in full confidence that what we've just done is indubitably triggering an unprecedented flow of supreme magic and magnificent bounty for each and every one of us here. So be it. Over to you, Sue.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm glad you can hear me okay. All right, we're going to start with a question from Gabby.
Yes.
Thank you so much for this series of satsangs. It really has been wonderful and accumulative and connecting. I'd love to ask my question in person, but my mic is still not working. Often when I meditate or sit at satsang, I feel perfectly relaxed, but gradually experience tension and sometimes becoming painful tingling sensation across the middle of my upper back. I had some relief for a time after I had a few sessions of acupuncture. I find that saying I love this pain reduces my resistance to it, but feel there could be something else I can do. My acupuncture therapist says it's often a place where emotional blockages are held. I've done lots of work on this and can't seem to identify what this might be now. Can you suggest something I can do, please? Love, Gabby.
Yes. It's been lovely that you've been at these sessions, so I'm glad that you're feeling the power of them. Meantime, that in between the shoulder blades thing could be due to something purely mechanical, like the need for a good chiropractic adjustment, which I would recommend. A proper good clunk through the upper back there would probably release that in one, especially in conjunction with the acupuncture to prevent the tissues sort of congealing up again, contracting again. On a psycho-emotional level, yes, it does tend to be heart issues that have been shoved in the back, you know, like you shove them in the back room to deal with later, sort of unresolved heart pain, usually from very early on in life, you know, the anguish of childhood that was never addressed at the time, obviously, because the child didn't know how to address it, and there wasn't an adult around at the time who could help to do that effectively. So, but I would really recommend looking at it in conjunction with, personally, I go for a chiropractic adjustment for the thoracic area, and then along with the acupuncture, as I say, that you will, if with the intention to, you'll find memories will start coming up. There'll be a sense of where it was that schism occurred, and in any case, even if you don't follow that route, look back to your 6-year-old or so, I would guess, something like that, you'll know, and place her behind you to the left. So imagine yourself turning around to her and going, what's up, you know, what is it, where's the thing? And she'll tell you, whoever, whichever age it is, you're in a so-and-so, 5-year-old, whatever, will tell you where the schism was. And then you can heal it, as you, the powerful healer that you are these days, can heal her, give her a hug, hold her, integrate her, and pull her into your body and let her sit inside of you rather than be stuck out there, because there's a break in the line of power between you and her. It needs mending by drawing her back into you, integrating her. In terms of exercises, the Qigong's basic stance, the horse stance, where your knees are bent at shoulder width and you're holding what looks like an invisible bale of cotton to your chest, where your hands barely meet, they don't quite meet, and the arms are rounded, and then you extend the shoulders away from the spine, you extend the elbows away from the shoulders, and in the curved shape of the arm, you extend the wrists away from the elbows and the knuckles away from the wrists. That, if done in a soft, beautiful way, sensitive, intelligent way, will open the upper back up. It will stretch the upper back. Tai Chi practice even more so, if concentrating on that. And in time, the combination of all that, I suspect you'll find that that will dissolve quite quickly, in fact, to reveal a fresh gap in knees.
Okay, this next one is from Bernard. Is it okay to desire the world around me to be calmer?
Yeah, definitely better than desiring it to be more frenetic, I'd say, Bernard, definitely. I'd say visualizing it to be calmer is work that is good for all of us to do. I must confess that I tend to forget myself, and it is a really good act of service, at least once a day, to visualize a soothing balm, kind of a vapor emitting from my heart and spreading around the face of the world until everybody's blanketed by this soft, soothing energy and calmed down. I mean, I think these satsangs have an effect like that. They do send out a calming vibration. So that, yes, the desire to calm the world down is a beautiful desire. It becomes an intention. You let that be your intention, and you visualize it happening by whichever device that works for you. For me, it's sending out a vapor of calmness to all the world and seeing everybody, almost like a benign tranquilizer. Everybody just goes, oh, that's better, thank you. And I think that does have an effect. It certainly calms us down, and then wherever we go, at least we're emitting a calmer vibe for others to pick up on.
This next one is from Megan. In making everything go with a bang, how can we maintain the momentum, energy and love?
Hi, Megan. Well, we don't have to really maintain the momentum because the momentum is primordial. The motion of chi, of the universal chi, is unstoppable. All we have to do is not get in the way of it. And for us, that means fairly constantly reaffirming our intention for how we want it to be, and learning, observing from the back of ourselves how we jar that by getting in the way of we get in the way of the momentum, jarring it by inserting fear thoughts into the mix, which we all do. I mean, we're meant to anyway. It's not that we're not meant to. It's the yin and the yang of it all. But by observing ourselves doing that, we tend to do it much more lightly, so it doesn't kind of bang the momentum off course, if you like. And that's really all it's about. It's about constantly letting go of ourselves, dissolving ourselves into the divine will, if you want to call it that, and clarifying the intention for it to be as we wish, and just flowing with that, learning to jar it less and less jarringly, and that's what happens. The love will continue to flow. And also, it's a very simple thing of just remembering. It's daily practice. Really is daily practice, only for a moment or two even, but a moment of every single day, making sure that you visualize your heart opening while being in the back of you, and visualize your love flowing out and the momentum continuing. That's daily practice, and some days you feel it, some days you're just going through the motions, but if you just do it every day, gradually it builds up as a force, and there's no substitute for that daily repetition. It's key to all of this stuff working.
A quick comment here from Sarah in Houston, who says, thank you, Doctor, and all your team for this wonderful series of Tai Chi sessions. I see it as the beginning of a wonderful life within. Many blessings to you and all yours.
And bless you, Sarah, in Houston, and from all of us at the crew here, the same. And may it also be the triggering of a beautiful external reality for you too. Why not? The outside always mirrors the inside anyway. So may it be both.
This next one is from Afka. From childhood, I had a challenge with trust, so being trustworthy is my middle name. But lately, distrust is popping up again. Any thoughts?
I think what you mean is you're trustworthy, but you don't trust other people. You're finding other people. Well, whichever it is, when we lose trust in others, it's because we've lost trust in ourselves. It's a mirror of that. Or if others are not trusting us, it's because we're not trusting ourselves. And trusting ourselves is key. Trusting yourself to be a good leader of yourself. And there are many tricks that we can, devices we can use, depending on our mood and where we're at the time. There's no universal one way that's going to work for everything all the time. But I, for example, really like occasionally to just repeat endlessly, I trust myself. 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 I just keep doing it over and over and over and over. And so I really just can't do it anymore. And then stop. And I find that within an hour or a day or whatever it is, I do actually trust myself hugely more. The other one is like, I know what I'm doing. I know what to do here. I know what to do. I know what I'm doing. I know what to do. Just talking to yourself like that can be very, very effective. And it comes to belief. It comes to really believing. That's very crucial. And belief is a really interesting one. It's not believing in anything. It's just the act of believing. And this believing goes on in the chest area, in fact, just in front of the chest area. John Kells calls it an organ, the love organ he calls it, which I think is a bit naughty, but it's sort of like an organ in front of the chest. And it's really just an area of energy that accumulates as belief. And learning to sort of gather your belief as a force, if you like, in the chest area or just in front of the chest area, with you behind it, is a very, very powerful thing to do. You just kind of breathe energy into the essence of belief. And that does seem to work if you do it on a daily basis, as abstract as it may sound at first.
All right, we're through the questions other than this comment from Jen. Jen says, wow, Doc, sitting here in happy tears, many thanks. You hit the nail on the head again for where I needed to go. On Friday, I was stuck in a what is my purpose, why the heck am I here on this insane rock loop. That session feels like it's allowed me to give myself permission to step up from little human limited me to big divinely inspired me and throw off a lot of social conditioning which has limited me for decades. Great. Many thanks for the tools, just what the doctor ordered.
Bless your heart. That is such a lovely thing to say and such a great thing to hear. I'm really excited. I think this is happening quite... it's something that's in the air at the moment, this ability to do that. And I'm noticing something fascinating yesterday. I was driving into Bath in the West Country of England from Cirencester direction, from the north of Bath. And I know that road really, really, really well. I've known it for decades really, really, really well. But I think I was in Ibiza for 10 minutes as I was driving along. And suddenly saw the view of the hills where Bath is nestled into, over on the right, off the edge of the road there. And I'd forgotten where I was. I did have one of those beautiful moments where I did not have a clue where in the world I was for a moment. And I didn't realise it was that Bath thing. And I just went, wow, what an amazing view. What beautiful, beautiful hills. Wow. And then I remembered where I was. I went, oh yeah, it's Bath. That's the hills of Bath. Now, as soon as I did that, it was like, yeah, I know that one. I knew that view from when I was 7 years old and went, wow, for the first time. So I don't need to get all excited about that or something like that. And what happened was, because I knew it and then I framed it and I catalogued it as, oh yeah, that's that view. The magnificence and the glory and the sensational splendor of the experience that I had looking at it diminished. It went dull. It's not hugely dull. It was still beautiful. They are beautiful hills. But the actual experience became dimmed down by the filter that I placed upon it, which consisted of my conditioned opinions and beliefs or descriptions of that view. And it's just an example, but it's fascinating how we limit the splendor of who we are by having a description of existence that is a limited description. And it will be limited, firstly because our intellects are limited in that sense, but secondly because most of our descriptions derive from when we were children, when we didn't really, although we were more fresh out of the mystery, we didn't really know what was going on. You know, we didn't know what was what, so we described things in fairly limited, inadequate ways that are no longer actually relevant. They're too small for who we are anymore. And I think that's what's happening. We're all bursting out of the limited confines that we subscribed to previously, which were encouraged by religion and everything else. That's the beauty of what's going on now. And on that note, let's just have a collective intention, a visualization of the world over the next 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or whatever. Being in a state of calm, being miraculously calm, where the leaders who are playing with all sorts of situations at the moment keep very calm heads, and somehow or other the idea of, I heard some politician describing the Houses of Parliament the other night. There was a debate in the Houses of Parliament. I can't remember what it was about, but he was saying that there was a lot of love in that room. This was on BBC Radio 4 News. He was saying there was a lot of love in that room. And I thought, wow, it's changing, you know. The world is really, really changing. So let's just visualize that. There being a lot of love, and that not being something that people feel embarrassed by. Let there be a lot of love in the world, much more than there's been before, and let that be soothing, and some miraculous things happen for everybody. Awful oppression come to an end, and situations resolved that didn't look like they were going to, and so on and so forth. And let the story move on beautifully. That's the wish. Let it be so. And let it be so for you, each of you, everybody, all of us, that the Tao treats us in the most spectacularly generous and beautiful, beneficent way in the coming days and weeks. And I'll see you as soon as it can possibly be. Thank you for being here. Bless you all. All my love to you. Thank you, Sue. And bye.
They're all pain, suffering, be dispelled. They're all pain, suffering,